Hello. Welcome to Mental Health Matters. My name is Barbara Meyers, and I'm the host of the show. On today's show, we're going to be talking about African Americans and mental health. I'm very pleased today to have three guests. First, I'd like to welcome Sydney Loggins. Welcome, Sydney. Sydney is an administrator, and she has a co-occurring disorder. She's going to be telling us something about that. Next, I'd like to introduce Lorenzo Kearney, who's the Emergency Service Coordinator at the Howie Hart Center, and he will be talking about that with us. Welcome,
Thank you.
Lorenzo.
Thank you.
And third, I'd like to introduce Mary Elsie Gibson. Mary is a person who's living with paranoia and depression, and I'm very happy to have her here with us today. I thought I would start today's show by talking about a report that was done by the United States Surgeon General. In 1999, the Surgeon General issued its first in history report by a Surgeon General of the United States on mental health. And one of the conclusions of that study was that people who were from minority populations had particularly serious mental health challenges and problems. And he ordered that there be another study that focused directly on the mental health problems of minority communities. And one of the communities was the African American community. And I thought what I'd do is tell you some of the conclusions from that study. African Americans appear to have overall rates of mental health and mental illness similar to those of whites after controlling for the differences in income, education, and marital status. However, since African Americans disproportionately are represented in high-need populations, such as homelessness, substance abuse, experience of violent environments, being incarcerated, in foster care, having post-traumatic stress disorder, the effects of mental health and mental health care are especially important in these high-risk areas. Another study found that African Americans are more likely to be incorrectly diagnosed or given a more severe diagnosis than someone else with the same symptoms. In particular, this has been demonstrated. African Americans are diagnosed with schizophrenia more than others with similar symptoms. One of the differences they found was that African Americans use more alternative therapies or home remedies, many times complementing medications that they get, but there's a willingness to try something that's different. Another finding was that there are disparities in access to mental health services due to financial barriers that people have. There's often a reliance on publicly financed systems, on a primary care provider rather than a psychiatrist, and use of the emergency room for psychiatric problems. And finally, there are few African American providers of mental health services. So a person is less likely to find somebody that they might be comfortable with as coming from their own group of people. So all of these were found by the Surgeon General to be problems and challenges that the African American community has in mental health that are different from the population at large. What I'd like to do now is to invite each of our guests to tell us their story and how they got here and a message that they'd like to leave. So, Sydney, I'd like to introduce you first.
Okay, I'd like to start by sharing a part of my story in terms of how I discovered my mental illness and discovering that I was also diagnosed with having a co-occurring disorder. And being diagnosed with a co-occurring disorder, I found that I would go in and out, not only with the substance abuse, but with having depression and personality disorder, along with anxiety. I mean, the list just goes on and on. And the way that I found hope for myself, I found that I began research in terms of doing self-research on myself by going to bookstores and going into the self-help section. And the way that I was directed there was through a friend, one of my supporters, a younger lady. She introduced me to self-help books, and within the self-help reading, I utilized affirmations, and I would read those affirmations on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. After going into a real deep depression and isolation, my supporter, practically knocked my door down to get inside my home, and she suggested that I seek therapy. And going through a therapist, I found that medication helped me a lot, but then I began to get tired. I began to get toxic in terms of using the medication, so I looked towards alternative healing in terms of going to the health food store, reading herb books, going to acupuncture, exercise, and diet. Those are some of the alternatives that I've been able to utilize.
Have they helped you?
Yes, they actually have helped me.
That's good.
And right now, I'm on alternative alternative healing. I'm in an alternative healing process. I don't know if I should bring this up, but I was employed at a nonprofit, and I was terminated. And of course, I was in shock for a very brief moment, I might add. And with the alternative medications that I've been using, I've been able to, I guess, pretty much stabilize myself. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty much at peace with myself because I am using those alternatives. Mm-hmm. And using my supporters. I don't really go to church as much as I used to, but I also began my healing with spirituality and going to church. Mm-hmm. And, I do watch the TV church ministers. Mm-hmm. And, I do write scripture down. I do read my scriptures on a daily basis. And, those are just some of the basic tools that I use in terms of maintaining my mental health and maintaining my sobriety. And I guess I should share that I began my sobriety about 18 years ago. So I've been able to stay away from the street drugs, so to speak.
That's great. 15 years, that's remarkable.
Like 18.
Oh, 18
years,
yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe I can help people by also, like I have facilitated women's groups. Mm-hmm. And in sharing my story in terms of how I had the ability to maintain my sobriety, I just shared my stories, in and out of bad relationships and allowing people in and out of my life. I would have a few years sobriety, and I would allow the certain person to enter my life, and there I go again. And using the street drugs, of course the mental illness would come back, and there I go again with the isolation and so on and so forth. So that's just a part of my story.
Yeah.
So,
well, thank you.
You're welcome. One more thing.
Okay.
Where's my laughter? People who suffer with mental illness, one of the other things that I've shared is that you have to not only forgive yourself, but you have to forgive those people who hurt you or who assisted you in damaging your life, so to speak. So that's
so that forgiveness, the process of forgiveness, has been helpful.
Very helpful.
That's good.
Very helpful. Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Remarkable. Lorenzo, I'd like to hear from you.
Yes. I work for the Holly Hart Multi-Service Center. I am an emergency service coordinator there. I'm diagnosed as schizophrenic, paranoid type chronic, and the kind of work I do as a client-ran program, the kind of work I do, it helps with my what should I say, disease of my diagnosis, because by me helping other people in my situation, being able to give services for them, I don't have to take that much Seroquel. The kind of work we do, we have anger management on Mondays, harm reduction on Tuesdays, self-sufficient groups on Wednesdays, and things and arts and crafts on Fridays. But the moral of the story is that by me being able to help other clients in my situation, it helps. I don't have to take that much Seroquel, like I said. I don't have to take that much medicine.
Yeah.
And just being able.
Howie Harp Center is for homeless people.
Yeah. It's a client-ran program. You have to have be dual diagnosed bipolar schizophrenic, and everybody come in there have to have a diagnosis, because it's a client-ran program, and other clients helping other clients. You got outreach workers, advocacy, peer counselors, substance abuse counselors, but they all got a diagnosis, and that is so important with the stigma thing, because we could help one another. It's other clients helping other clients, and a lot of times people have never seen that before. They never seen another person that's been to a hospital come out and help another person that's in the same situation. So it's so important to me that program has helped me so much, and
I found that too in a client-run program that I'm in, but I'm helped as much as I help other people too. I think it goes both ways. Yeah.
So, like I say, it's just so important for people with the mental health to continue to give monies to agencies that have anything to do with helping other people with mental psychiatric disabilities, and then the community too. It's a lot of people in the community in my neighborhood or throughout Oakland that don't get attention, they don't get diagnosed. There's a lot of kids out there who don't know that they got a problem because they haven't went to a psychiatrist, so they're out there doing a lot of negative things. So we got to get the message out to them to get treatment before it's too late. A lot of people don't get treated at early age. They wait till they get like 30 or 40 years old, and then they go to get checked out. But when they're 15 to 25 years old, they don't get they don't see psychiatrists, but all the time they're sick, and they don't know it, So we just got to get the word out and get the message out and try to get them help,
Okay, well, thank you.
Okay.
Mary, we'd like to talk with you.
Okay, my name is Mary Elsie, and I'm just happy just to be here, and I always did a lot of research on my own, and I'm like an advocate of the community. I don't have no title, but I'm always around, like, when people's kind of looking out for resources. If I know where I can go at, I try to, man, people just knowing. I'm always around somebody in the streets that's always going through something. With myself growing up, I've always been depressed, and I have paranoid, and I've been diagnosed like this, that, and all these other diagnoses, and I found out I have a lot of fear and paranoia and stuff like that. And a lot of African American, a lot of things that's going on, and the way I was raised up religion, and like a lot of us don't like to come up and talk about a lot of things, because we don't want our friends to know we got this, diagnosed, and we don't want to be looked down, and I was raised a certain way that you have to look good and stuff like that. So what I do is I kind of stay connected. I was raised in church. I go to the White Christian Center. I haven't been in a while, but they involved in the community, and then I go to acupuncture, and then I'm connected with, AA and a support group, because I used to drink and I used to smoke weed and stuff like that. But then when I stopped all of that about 8 years ago, and then I thought about it, that started before I started drinking, because I was always paranoid, feared, worried about what people say, what they think and stuff like that. And I really feel bad that a lot of people, they want a lot of help, but they don't know how to reach out. And a lot of African America, when they know these different information, they will not share it, and they wonder why they do all the violence, the crimes, and go to drinking and stuff. I used to drink, and I used to smoke weed till somebody laid something in my stuff and all that kind of stuff. So I share that with the generation when I walk the street, if I go to meet Tom Baker in Berkeley, but it's bad when you go to these meetings by yourself and you don't have nobody to, African American to fight with you, I'm for the whole community, Berkeley, Oakland, I'm for the whole world, and for me, I just kind of stay spiritually connected, try to be around positive people, try to set healthy boundaries, stay focused, keep a support group. Happy to know people like Sydney and Gina and Barbara, and I'm just letting go and let God, my higher power, Mother Nature, whatever you guys want to, call it, and sometimes I get in depressed mode and I get depressed. So for me, when people are real depressed, it's not going nowhere. When I get calls on my phone, and if it's not uplifting stuff like that, I'll tell them information where they can go, mental health and different stuff like that. But when I see it don't pertain, I start getting depressed with their problems. So I'm learning to set healthy boundaries to heal. And I tell anybody, if you want to heal, talk to someone that's going to uplift you. If they know what your pastor or a good friend or me, I just feel my knees and pray and just ask for just let go and let God and affirmation and stuff like that. So to me, just staying connected. I just want to for all the African Americans, just reach out all over. It's about love and it's about healing, And we do got places where people can go at. That's why a lot of the prisons and stuff is all locked up because a lot of people, they go back and forth to jail, and a lot of them I know, and they have a lot of mental issues going on, depression and stuff. And I know I have paranoid and, fear and stuff like that, and I thought that came from drinking and stuff. That's part of it. But I've been depressed and paranoid, and I have that's going on now. But I'm learning when I'm around positive people and staying connected and going to acupuncture. I just started taking medication, but I'm learning what medication to take and to read up on it, to find out things, because I know some people take medication and it will make them worse than what they are. So for me, I'm very concerned what doctor I'm going to, what medication, and do some research. And I'm happy I'm here. Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you, Mary. I'd like to ask all of you, what would you tell an African American friend who thinks they might have a psychological problem and doesn't know what to do? What would you advise them to do?
Well, first of all, I would advise them to seek out a therapist, and I would share some of the, the knowledge and background that I've experienced in terms of why I had to reach out to see a therapist, because sometimes you need to talk to someone who really don't know you, and someone who will listen, and someone who has gone to school and have sort of like the educational background. Sometimes that helps. And I would also suggest to them to seek out support groups. So support groups have helped me. It's been very beneficial in my life to listen to other people who experience the same things that I've experienced.
Right,
That's what I would do. And I'm even open to have that person give me a call. And it depends on the person. What I've had to learn for myself was to set healthy boundaries. And to put together a trusted support group. I would suggest that to them too. Okay.
Is there anything else that you would advise?
Well, I'm an outreach worker. That's some of the things that I do with advocacy. And the first thing I would do, and I have did in the past, was refer people to Salsa Creek. That's one of the best places in the Bay Area that you can go to and get diagnosed and get help. They could even go in as a short stay if they don't have medicines, and they will evaluate them and give them medicines there, and will help them with a lot of other things that they need to get them on the right track. Sometimes they'll help you with housing, they'll help you with your medicines, they'll help you with trying to get monies to help yourself. A lot of people don't know they can get compensated when they're sick, and they don't know these things, and they get on a fixed income that can make them when they'll be able to live. It's not a lot of money, but it's enough to have to get Medi-Cal, you can pay some rent, but they don't know these things. They're just out there. So Salsa Creek is one of the better places that you go and get help. And I have went there in the past several times. I have even admitted myself when I have nervous breakdowns. But the moral of the story, I have referred a lot of people there. The people that I did refer there, they came back and had good things to say about it, and they got help.
Oh, good. Thank you for that. How about you, Mary?
But for me, when I do a lot of street walking, and I mostly like tell my story. I tell my story. I have went to places to talking to professional people to tell them I need a psychiatrist and stuff like that and different stuff, and I didn't get no help, but I didn't take it personal. So when I walk the street and talk to a lot of the young teenagers or different ones that I know, or someone say, Mary, I can call you. You could call me any time of night. That's why I live alone, because they know it's not going nowhere. And it's good when people know you are trustworthy. And I just tell them what I do. I just try to just pray and stay connected and try to stay in support groups, AA, and, they got all kind of groups. They think it's just about drugs, AA, NA, prostitute or any kind of illness or whatever, We have it out there even when I go back and forth to Vegas and stuff like that. They got a lot of stuff people don't know. So I just tell my story and to let people know what I've been through. And
so that's helpful to them to hear your story.
Yes,
you would tell them.
About me telling my story, I don't know. To let them know, because some African Americans, I'm gonna be honest with you, they were raised up in church, and they don't want a lot of people to know what's going on with them. They have to keep this fight going, and they don't want anyone to know this here. And then that's why the story manifesting itself, and they wonder why they don't function right on the job and stuff like that, because they don't want, so-and-so to know that they got this mental problem or domestic problem, and they need to take medicine, and they scared the job find out, because I've talked to a lot of people that I know.
There's a lot of stigma, it sounds like.
Yes, it is. A lot of African Americans,
I've sometimes thought myself that the stigma is worse than the illness sometimes, because it keeps you from getting help, and kind of sad. One of the things that people sometimes say that's especially helpful to African Americans is a connection to religion. And I wanted to know if have you found connection to religion to be helpful or harmful or whatever?
It's that's where I initially began my walk with Sobriety Church. And for me, it was very, very helpful, and I like to share. When I started going to church, I would see people when the Holy Spirit would touch them, and I thought that they were just acting until it happened to me. And after I was touched by the Holy Spirit, it felt like I had a cleansing. And from that cleansing, that's when I really started my walk towards not only hope but living life, because when I was in my substance abuse lifestyle, I was really dead, and didn't really realize that I had a mental illness at the same time. Being the oldest girl born in the family, although I have 3 older brothers, and I was the 4th born in the family. So being an African American woman, being the oldest in a family, a lot of responsibilities are placed on your shoulders. So in spirituality, to get back to that question and answer, that's when I began my walk.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to move on and give a challenge to those of you who are watching in the audience today. There's an African proverb that says, it takes a village to raise a child. You may have heard of that. I want you to think about your village or your neighborhood, as if you will, and about the children who live in that neighborhood, and consider what you might do to contribute to raising them well, especially the ones that have mental problems. That's your assignment. And I'm sure you'll do it very well on it. Before we end, I'd like to give some resources and organizations for those of you who may need them. First is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, which has an African American support group in Oakland that meets on the fourth Tuesday. The information is on your screen. NAMI also sponsors family-to-family classes that help families learn about mental illness from time to time. There is Lorenzo's organization, the Howie Hart Multi-Service Center, which is a self-help program offering free services to people who are disabled and homeless. They're in Oakland. There's the Peers, which we have talked about before here, which is Peer Resource Center. It's on San Pablo Street in Oakland. There's an organization called Pathway to Wellness, which has three different locations in Alameda County, and those are on your screen. There's an organization called Primary Care, which is on Dwight Way, and it has a support group for people. It meets on Fridays. And finally, there's a suicide hotline at 1-800-SUICIDE for those of you who need it. I'd like to end by saying that the Surgeon General said that while the African American experience in the United States is rife with episodes of subjugation and displacement, it is also characterized by extraordinary individual and collective strengths that have enabled many African Americans to survive and do well, often against enormous odds. The resilience of these people is an important resource from which everyone in our society can learn, and I agree. I want to thank our guests, Sydney, Lorenzo, and Mary. Thank you for being here this evening. And I want to end by saying, take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone.